All right, joining me now is Democratic Congressman Adam Smith of Washington State. He is a ranking member on the House Armed Services Committee. Thank you so much for being here. I do want to start with just asking you what you make of the president's latest comments where he's attacking Zelensky again.
Yeah, we're back to the same problematic place that we were from the start of this administration, where President Trump fundamentally misunderstands that Putin is driving this war. He invaded. Putting pressure on Putin is what's going to end the war. Ukraine is holding strong at the moment, despite what Russia is doing. But the biggest impediment for the last, almost year now, has been President Trump consistently undermining Zelensky, whereby our European partners have made it clear we're not going to abandon Ukraine. If we had a clear statement of support, if Putin didn't sit there thinking, well, if I just wait for another month or week or however long, then maybe the U.S. will abandon Ukraine, that would put us in a much stronger position to help negotiate an end to this war. So, Trump's priorities are in the wrong place. And then the national security strategy that came out last week that didn't even really mention Russia as a threat, I think fundamentally misunderstands what's going on in Europe, undermines Ukraine, but it also undermines our ability to actually get to a peace deal because Putin keeps fighting if he thinks eventually we might bail on Ukraine.
I'm curious what you make of these comments where he talks, the president tells Politico, these are just freshly released comments, he tells Politico what he thinks about how Europe is doing. Take a listen.
Do you intend to send kind of a message of tough love to our allies to push them to make reforms? Or do you think that many of them are just weak and you don't really want to be allies with them?
I think they're weak, but I also think that they want to be so politically correct. I think they don't know what to do. Europe doesn't know what to do.
Does the U.S. know what to do?
Well, look, it's a fundamental principle of our national security, and that is that Europe is a strong ally. We are supposed to support liberal democracy, a pursuit of human rights, a pursuit of greater equality and opportunity. Putin represents brutal autocracy and aggression violating the sovereignty of other nations. We are supposed to be against that, and Europe is clearly against that. Look, Europe has economic struggles. We have economic struggles. We're in debt more than they are, but I still believe the NATO alliance is incredibly strong and incredibly successful. I mean, what was it, almost 4 years ago now when Putin invaded Ukraine, most people thought it would be over in a couple of weeks. But a very strong alliance put together by Joe Biden of 54 nations helped Ukraine stand up and fight and resist that aggression, resist that autocracy. I mean, look, do we believe in democracy and freedom or not? And I understand realism. I don't want us spreading democracy at the point of a gun. I don't think that works, and I don't think we can do it all over the world. But when you have a sovereign democratic country like Ukraine invaded and attacked by an autocratic power, a repressive autocratic power, we ought to be able to say, we're with Ukraine. We're not with Russia. And stop concerning ourselves about whether or not we love all of the politics that's going on in Europe or not. The alliance and standing up to Russian aggression is vastly more important.
Well, let me ask you about what the president told Politico about whether he watched the video of that double-tap strike that has stirred so much controversy. Here's what he said when asked.
Have you watched the video?
He was stopping. I watched everything, yeah. I watch everything. I see a lot of things.
And do you believe that that second strike was necessary?
Well, it looked like they were trying to turn back over the boat, but I don't get involved in that. That's up to them.
You were in the briefing. Is that what Admiral Bradley said when he was asked about what happened to the two suspects and whether or not they turned the boat over to, as Senator Tom Cotton put it, continue their mission?
Yeah, if you see the video, there's no way they were trying to continue their mission. I mean, very early on, after they had gotten up on top of the wreckage, which is basically what this was, it's the capsized bow of the boat. It looks like the boat's probably split in half. Now there's a portion of it that's under the water, so you can't tell for sure. Early on, they were pulling on it. What they were trying to do, I'm not sure. But by the time we took the strike, even Admiral Bradley admitted they were not trying to turn the boat over, and that boat was going to be of no use whatsoever. It was drifting with the current. It was going wherever the current was going to take it. But also President Trump, just not taking responsibility for his decisions is deeply troubling. He's the commander-in-chief. He's the president. Secretary Hegseth, Secretary of Defense, he too was trying to go, well, no, it wasn't my thing. I wasn't there. I didn't see it. They are our leaders. They are the civilian leadership of our military, and they shouldn't throw the uniformed people under the bus. They should stand up and take responsibility for the orders they gave.
Congressman Adam Smith, it's a pleasure. Thank you for speaking to us this morning. I do appreciate it. Kate?
Buying bottles of ammonia and a hacksaw. Some of the new evidence just revealed in court as part of the murder trial of Brian Walsh.